What if you stopped needing the other person who hurt you to acknowledge what happened in order for you to trust your own experience? What if your sense of reality didn't depend on their agreement? What if you knew so deeply in your body what was true that other people's versions of events simply stopped having the power to destabilize you? Today, I want to talk about what it takes to get there. Because this shift, this moment when you stop needing their validation to trust yourself, is one of the most liberating things that can happen in this kind of healing. Hi, I'm Kelly Kessler. I'm a doctor of physical therapy, nervous system educator, and someone who has personally walked through this experience of learning to trust myself, my perception, without needing it to be confirmed by the people who questioned it. Today, we're talking about self-trust, specifically the kind that holds when someone is actively trying to undermine it. Here's what the absence of this looks like in real life. Something happens in a relationship that affects you deeply. Maybe it's a pattern of behavior you've been trying to name for a long time. Maybe it's a specific incident that crossed the line you didn't even know you had until it was crossed. And your experience of it is real. Your body registered it. Your nervous system responded. You know what you felt. But then the other person tells a very different story. Maybe they minimize it. Maybe they deny it. Maybe they reframe it in a way that makes you the problem. Maybe they bring other people into it who only have their version of the events. And suddenly, you're not just dealing with what happened, you're dealing with a reality war. Two completely versions of the same events. And one of them is yours and one of them is theirs. And you cannot get them to agree. And because some part of you still needs their agreement in order to fully trust your own experience, the doubt starts to creep in. And you find yourself spending enormous amounts of energy trying to get them to see it your way. Explaining, defending, trying to present the evidence clearly enough that they'll finally acknowledge the truth. Trying to make them validate what you know you experienced. And it's exhausting. And it never works. Because someone whose narrative depends on you being wrong is never going to be the one who validates your truth. Here is the hardest and most liberating thing I can tell you about this. You will never get the validation you're looking for from the person who needs you to doubt yourself. I want to say that again, because it matters. You will never get the validation you're looking for from the person who needs you to doubt yourself. And it's not because you didn't experience what you experienced. It's not because your truth is not true. It's because their version of the events requires your version to be wrong. And as long as that is the case, no amount of explaining, defending, or presenting evidence is going to get you what you're looking for. So the work is not about getting them to finally see your way. The work is about building enough inner safety that you no longer need them to. And here's what that actually requires. It requires you trusting your body, because your body holds the truth even when your mind gets confused by competing narratives. The way you felt in that person's presence, the tightening of your chest, the dread, the way you felt about yourself after certain interactions, those physical memories are data. They're not dramatic interpretations. They are your nervous system doing exactly what it's designed to do, registering safety and threat. When you learn to trust that data, when you learn to come back to your body rather than your mind when your reality is being questioned, something shifts. The external validation stops being necessary because the truth is no longer something you're waiting for someone else to confirm. It's something you feel in your body, and it does not require their agreement. I want to tell you something honest about this one. There was a time when I was spending an enormous amount of energy trying to get certain people in my life to acknowledge what had happened, to see it clearly, to validate my experience. And every time they didn't, every time they presented an alternative version of events or questioned my perception, I felt destabilized all over again. What I came to understand was that my need for their validation was itself a form of giving them power over my reality. As long as I needed their agreement to trust myself, they had the ability to take that trust away just by disagreeing. The shift happened slowly through learning to come back to my body when the reality wars started, through asking myself, what did I actually experience, rather than what do they say happened, through building enough inner safety that I could feel their version of events and still know my own. And one day I realized something had changed. I could hear a narrative that contradicted mine and not feel destabilized by it. And that's not from me hardening or not caring any longer. It's because my truth lives so deeply in my body that someone else's version could no longer take that power away from me. That shift is real and it is available for you. And the next time you feel this in your life, the next time someone questions your reality, the next time someone downplays what happened or changes the narrative of it, or it completely invalidates you in that experience, this is what I want you to do. Before you respond to anything, I want you to come back to your body. I want you to feel your feet on the floor. Notice them. Allow yourself to anchor into this moment. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. And slowly exhale. And ask yourself, not what do they say happened, but what did I actually experience? Let your body answer that question. Not your mind with all the doubting and qualifying, your body. What did I actually feel? And then notice what comes through. What does your body remember? And sit with that for a moment. And let it be real without needing to defend it or explain it. And then say to yourself, what I experience is real. I don't need their agreement to know my truth. This is a practice. And it won't happen perfectly the first time. And it likely won't happen perfect the second time or the third time or the fourth time. But every time you're building this muscle of learning to stay with yourself and to trust yourself. And to trust your reality and your truth and your experience. And every time you do it, every time you come back to your own body instead of reaching for external validation, you are building the neural pathways of self-trust, the one that holds even when others are questioning your reality. And here's the rewiring moment. If you take one thing from this video, let this be it. Your truth does not require their agreement. Your experience does not become less real because someone else tells a different version of the story. And your healing does not depend on finally getting them to see your perspective or understand you or see you or hear you. What it depends on is you trusting your own body, coming back to your own experience, building enough inner safety that someone else's version of events simply stops having the power to destabilize you. This is self-trust. And it is available to you right now, not someday, but through this work, through repetition and support and the repeated choice to come back to yourself. If this is the work you want to do and you want to feel real support while doing it, I want to invite you to learn more about the Self-Loyalty Mentorship. The link is in the description. And if you want more videos just like this, where you can learn how to anchor into yourself and your truth and not rely on the outside world for your sense of safety and stability, subscribe to my channel. I post many videos where you can learn how to come back to yourself, anchor into your body, so it's not just a practice you learned, it's a practice that you live. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you in the next one.